How an entitled family of 7 ruined dinner for everyone at a restaurant. Our hero, Matt, and his husband Aaron. They went to this restaurant to get dinner. They gave their names and group amount to the hostess. They specifically said they wanted a 2-person table, since neither of them wanted to take up space that could be used for others. A little bit of courtesy goes a long way, you know. The couple were just sitting down in the waiting area enjoying the scenery, when suddenly this family of ingrates blundered through the door. This family consisted of their entitled dad, their entitled mother, and their 5 demonic children. They were normal at first, but they did something strange whenever someone got their table called. This weird family would go up too, as if they thought they could sneak in with another group. The staff politely corrected them multiple times, but they never seemed to get the message. When Matt and Aaron were eventually called up, little did they know that an extra person had joined their little twosome. It was the youngest member of the family. She'd trailed behind them to their table, then she shouted, "Where's my seat?" To which Aaron replied, "You're not a part of our group." This child screamed back, "Yes, I am." This back and forth continued for about a minute until Matt and Aaron's server had to step in to help. Once the employee involved himself, the little girl yelled that she was getting her mother and scurried back to the restaurant seating area. When her family eventually got seated, the drama only intensified. The entitled mother who so deeply deserves the name Karen, we will call her for the rest of the story. Karen then proceeded to try to grab Matt's chair from him while he was still seated in it. Obviously, Matt told her off for this, as did the server. After the family seated themselves, things calmed down briefly, and the server retrieved Matt and Aaron's drink orders. Matt was sipping on an especially cold milkshake, and one of the entitled children sees this with their beady childlike eyes. The kid asked their mother, "Mommy, he doesn't like his milkshake. Can I have it?" Shockingly enough, Karen agreed and said, "Sure, honey. Go and get it." The little demon then rushed over and grabbed Matt's milkshake while he was still drinking it and said, "You're not enjoying your milkshake. You should give it to me." Matt obviously was enjoying it just happened to be a little cold, and said as much to the grabby kid, but to no avail. A silly game of tug-of-war took place over the shake, much to Matt's bewilderment. Thankfully, a friendly waitress came over and asked what the heck was going on with this child. "The child is pestering Matt and his husband." The waitress told him, "Just because your mom said you could doesn't mean you can. If you take this from him without his permission, you're stealing and that's illegal." The child just screamed, "Mommy said I could," and then ran off to the entitled table crying. Though he should have expected it, since this woman did just instruct her child to steal his milkshake. The mother's response to this little incident still blew Matt away. Karen, a grown woman mind you, then came over to Matt's table and tried yanking his milkshake out of Matt's hands, but he held onto it, determined to finish. This woman then had the audacity to huff at Matt and say, "I told my child he could have it, give it to me." He told her no way. She melodramatically rolled her eyes and stormed off, somehow without a hint of embarrassment. This was only the very beginning of the evening. Things were about to get a lot worse and much more hands-on. At this point, the entitled family's waitress had arrived at their table and began taking drink orders. What happened next made Matt feel genuinely sorry for her. The dad asked for an adult beverage. When the waitress asked him for his ID, the man said, "I have a wife and kids, and I'm 39, as though that was enough. She responded, "I need an ID, it's the law." When he demanded to see her manager, she said, "She'll back me up on all of this," at which point he became bewildered that a manager could be female. Somehow he had the audacity to say, "I want the real manager, women can't manage." The waitress just walked away, muttering, "I'm getting you water." Matt and Aaron finally placed their orders. Aaron ordered his omelet, and Matt ordered the baked macaroni and cheese that he had been fantasizing about since before he'd had the displeasure of seeing that awful family. While this was going on, another couple was just being served their own food at a table nearby. All of a sudden, the entire restaurant heard a shout, "This is our food. You can't have this." Karen had made her way over to the nearby couple's table and was attempting to grab a plate of their food from right under their nose. "My kids are hungry," said the entitled mother. "We waited for this food, and you have to as well," the normal but increasingly aggravated woman responded. This bewildered Karen, who then shouted that her kids were hungry now. The normal woman then calmly explained that they were also hungry when they came in, but that they didn't steal anybody else's food. Karen then made the stupidest argument that Matt had ever heard. "It's not stealing. It's a generous act." The normal woman had to explain to a grown woman that no, it's not a generous act to take somebody else's food, and that if they didn't have permission that it was in fact theft. Karen, somehow being even more egregious than usual, demanded the woman's chair, and began dragging her away as she was sitting in it. One of her demon children then sat in it after the normal woman got up from her chair. The waitress then had to go up to the entitled family's table and drag the chair back. Apparently Karen was born without any shame whatsoever, judging by her response. Karen, somehow not realizing how this looked to everybody else in the room, told her child, "Come on son, these people are entitled, They don't deserve to interact with us if they act like this. When Matt's mac and cheese and Aaron's omelet arrived, Karen tried to pull the same trick, but thankfully Matt was faster. He took a bite out of his mac and cheese right as it hit the table. Karen then shouted at him, "That's my kid's food." Matt responded coldly, "We're paying for this, not you." She slapped Matt for that one, but her bark was worse than her bite, though Aaron nearly took her head off until Matt simply laughed it off, letting his husband know that he wasn't at all bothered by this petty woman's trashy actions. They were beginning to suspect that this family was specifically targeting them because they were a gay couple. After dinner, Aaron and Matt wanted to pick up dessert, but the family was being rude and dinner was filling enough, so they decided to pay their bill and head out. Matt had a box of leftovers, and as he was leaving, he realized he had forgotten to pick the leftovers up. Once he got back into the dining room, he saw the box wasn't at his table, but that one of the entitled kids had instead taken it and was eating it. When he demanded it back, the child threw it at his face and the plastic box cut Matt's cheek. As Matt and Aaron were leaving, the manager pulled them over and asked them if they had been harassed. The couple informed her about everything, and a police report was filed. The woman was given a fine. The night was eventually wonderful, but the entire ordeal was so absolutely infuriating. Situations like these have more than one side to them. Maybe the family was going through extreme poverty and was trying to fleece some food from people. Maybe the family was just raised to be sociopaths, or maybe they didn't like gay people. What do you think?